Okay, we're live.
Welcome to BookCAST, where we love talking about books and reading books. I'm Dana. This is my dad, Keith. We are currently covering Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, the first book, Stormfront. And we're almost done, huh?
Just
We're
about.
on, yeah, we're doing chapters 21 to 24
Yep.
this
And I
week.
think there's only 27 in the
Yeah,
book. So
so
at
we're
some
almost
point,
done.
yep. And at some point during the week, we're going to close this out.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's, nerdy for me. I'm so excited because we're actually working off of the blog so we don't have to read through the book like we had in the past. So we're getting much more organized and I'm having fun with that.
Slowly. We're slowly.
I mean, we've got all of the other shows, I think, except for episode 5. We have to finish that one. I don't think that one's finished yet, right?
No, I looked at it. It seemed what you did it seemed fine to me. So
Because I had very little on that one. I'll probably go back and polish it up a little bit, but yeah, yeah, it's ready to go, and we're working off the blog, so it's a lot of fun.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah, we just like talking about books, and we just have fun. That's all we're doing is having fun,
yeah, that's it. We're having a blast.
and we're getting to the climax of the book. Really, or slowly getting. We're kind of getting there. Where you know, well, let's get started on chapter 21 then.
Yeah, yeah. In the 6th episode of our podcast, we're covering chapters 21 through 24. Both of us feel like we're getting a good rhythm for the podcast now. Um, I mentioned it. I don't know if you completely read the blog, but I mentioned that I may even start uploading the audio in an actual podcast format and see about getting it published on iTunes.
That would be really
So
cool.
looking at that, so I may see where all that goes. Who knows what we're going to do? We're getting very close to the end of the book, like you mentioned. We got one more show that we'll finish out one night this week. Some point this
hmm
week we'll finish it out. Um, we're having a really good time, both in the preparation for the show and actually reading the books and talking through them on the show. So
hmm
we hope everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, and we started off with a book we had already read before. But the next book that we're going to cover is going to be one we haven't read before.
That's
So,
right.
whole new territory.
Yep. And we're very excited about it, but we're gonna wait before we tell y'all
Yeah.
what that one
Yeah,
is.
we're not going to say what it is.
Yeah, we're
Not
gonna.
yet.
That's what they call in radio business a hook. So we're gonna leave you hooked and hanging. How about that?
All right. So, last time we left off, Harry went to Monica's house because he suspected that she knew a lot more than she was that she knew a lot more than she had originally talked about. You know, that she had kind of like hooked him for like maybe she baited him into this whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so um they had a little bit of a tiff where she tried to stun him and of course he knocked it out of her hands and it shorted out because electronics don't really work around him that well. It's the
No.
whole magic
No.
thing.
Yeah. They
So
they do not.
she finally calmed down and well, she broke down a little bit and we left off with her fixing to tell him everything that she knew. And so that's where chapter 21 picks up, right? Where they're in her house and her little kitchen that's full of little cow decorations and
She has cows. What movie is that
they're
from?
I don't know.
Twister.
This Twister. Oh, I haven't seen that movie in
We got
so long.
cows.
But so yeah, so you threw me off.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's a so she starts she starts talking to him. We get a huge plot twist, right? Yeah.
I would say it's a relatively huge plot twist.
So Monica did lead him to her husband on purpose because she suspects that her husband killed Jennifer, Tommy Tom, and Linda. And
She doesn't suspect.
well, she knows. She knows for sure that her husband killed those people, and Jennifer is her sister. That's the big plot twist. What?
Yep, Jennifer
Sisters?
is her sister, and she confirms that it was Victor that killed Jennifer, Tommy Tom, and there was one other girl.
Linda.
Linda, that's right.
Yeah, Harry had a connection to Linda.
Mm-hmm.
I so um so Monica starts to tell Harry that he hadn't always been a bad person. He just when her youngest turned 4, he really started to delve into magic, and the magic kind of twisted him and made him become a bad person. And she, who has dealt with abuse before, is now started dealing with abuse from her husband this time. So she
Yep.
was actually starting to get really afraid for her children. Now, she participated in some of his antics at first. She did. And he, like, gave her that drug and everything, that third eye drug.
No, he never actually gave it to her. He wanted her to take it so that he could share with her what he sees.
But she did drink it, though. She drank it and she saw things. That's what she said. She,
Oh boy,
he,
I just read that today, and I don't remember reading that
yeah,
because I
he
didn't
came
cover it.
to her. He came to her in the middle of the night and wanted her to drink this potion because like that you're my wife. I want you to see the things that I want you to understand me. So she drank it
Wow, I don't
and she
remember her drinking it.
yeah, she drank it and she saw him as he really was. Because the that drug gave her the sight. So she saw him and she saw all kinds of things, and because she had that one dose, she wanted more. She did want more. But so she started to participate, and between her and her sister, one of them, she wouldn't participate all the time. One of them would her or her sister would usually stay home with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And um but when her husband started to look at her kids as experiment, like he might use them in some of these rituals, that's when she started to freak out, and that's when she went to Harry, because she couldn't feel like she could go to the police, because what are the police going to do? They're going to think she's crazy, and he would use his magic on her, and she wanted to it was all about protecting her children.
Wow,
You don't remember that?
and I just read this today. I wrote each one of these after the chapter, so you see, you should have added that in there because I didn't add that.
I
That's
might
not
have
on.
to add
Yeah,
it.
you might want to go edit this and fix it.
So so yeah, she actually does drink the drug, and um
Oh, the thing is that that's what you've already mentioned. That was another big discovery because this potion was third eye.
yeah.
So that's the third thing that he gets confirmed
And
by
he
by
and
talking to her is the fact that this is third eye. So Monica gives Harry some good info.
a lot of good info, because her husband Victor needed backers, because he needed money to make more of the drug. So who does he go to? The Becketts.
Yeah.
They're very rich, and they have a grudge against Johnny Marsone.
Yep. That's right.
So Victor's like, well, if you give me the money, I will, you know, use the drug and get back at Johnny, because Johnny's the kingpin of the underworld. So,
Yep.
you
And
know,
just
with
go ahead.
that, and the drug will be like a direct competition, and they could take him out or something.
Yeah. I mean, what I liked the way they explained is that anyone that uses this drug to see what they normally can't see and don't understand. They really suffer in all kind of different ways. The difference with Victor is he enjoyed what he saw and he actually craved more and more of it, and he started to seek out that power. So he started to try to learn and refine it, and he became relatively powerful in a short time. But the difference is he's using the drug to get the power. Harry has it naturally, so that's a key point later
Yeah.
on. Harry is natural talent.
Yeah.
This is artificial talent, even though
Yeah.
it's very powerful. So
And
they, I
the
mean,
the sight is a powerful thing, and even some wizards, can go insane from it. So this being used on regular people, that's a lot of problems. That'll cause a lot of problems.
that's right.
So Harry gets all this really juicy information from Monica, and she's pretty much she's hopeless at this point because she doesn't think anybody can stop Victor. She doesn't even think that Harry can stop him because she thinks Victor is more powerful than Harry. But she also doesn't know Harry that well.
Well, yes, she doesn't realize that Harry has natural raw talent. When he uses his third eye, it's because he opens himself up to it. He also can close himself to it so he sees everything like humans normally see. Well, when Harry realizes all this information, he understands using the scorpion medallion that he saved from the previous chapter that Victor sent to him,
No,
or
that
that no,
Monica gave it
Monica
to him.
gave it to him. She gave it to him, so he's got that stored in his at his office. He realizes that he could probably use that to protect himself against Victor's magic attack.
Yes. So he figures that. So he leaves Monica's house. Before he leaves, though, he meets her daughter, her oldest,
Yeah,
and that was a little interesting, interaction because um, that child knows a lot. She's obviously seen a lot, so she's like, "I hope you're not one of the bad guys too." And I'm like, "Oh, you poor baby."
yeah, and she's very matter of fact about it.
Yeah, like I don't think she would be upset if Harry killed her dad
No,
because
she wouldn't, because if I remember right, she said, "My daddy used to be a good guy, but now he isn't.
yeah,
You
so she
seem like
knows.
you're a good guy, and I hope you'll end up being a good guy."
That's a smart little kid. That's a smart kid.
She's been through a lot. Little kids that have been through a lot like that or end up that way.
So he leaves the Cell's house. And he feels a lot for them. He does. He feels really bad because he feels like he pushed Monica to the breaking point.
Yeah,
He
and
blames himself a lot.
I mean we're going through a lot of information in chapter 21, and what we have to keep in mind, and we have to make sure we let the viewers know, Harry's in a rush. He's
Yeah.
basically trying to save his ass.
Yeah,
So
because
all of this is
the white
happening as
yeah.
quickly as he can possibly make it happen. So he's really pressuring Monica to share with him the information. The whole first part of the chapter was him really forcing her to speak. She didn't want to. She's pretty much given up. She thinks there's no hope. And he's desperately trying to save his butt.
Yeah,
So he was
because
trying to get as much info as he can. So he doesn't just leave the house. He hurries up. He rushes
yeah,
out.
he
He
runs
gets a
out.
cabbie, and he gets the cabbie to bring him to a gas station because he's trying to call Murphy and let her know what he's discovered.
Well, mostly he goes through a little bit of some mental gymnastics first
Yeah, he's trying to
because
figure out what his options are, and he figures
yeah,
out his
because
best option is to call Murphy. Well, he thinks it is, at
well,
least.
Well, he goes through some mental gymnastics because he can't go to the White Council because the White Council is coming on Monday to sentence him most likely to death. He can't, and even the members of the White Council that he probably could go to are in mid-flight right now. So there's nobody he could turn to on that
No?
end. he can't really even go to the police for help because of the whole like, oh, he pissed off Murphy, so they're probably gonna arrest him deal. So what he decides to do is take on Victor himself, but he calls Murphy to give her a heads up, like, so just in case he dies, at least like how he puts it, the hounds of hell will come after Victor if he dies. Basically saying Murphy and her group could go after Victor. So he's going to call Murphy to give her a heads up, like, hey, I'm going to take care of this by myself. If if I don't make it, this is where the bad guy is. This is where Victor is. Because Murphy suspects Harriet right now because he lied to her.
I know, but the whole thing is, it doesn't make any sense for Harry to do any of that because it doesn't fit with the rest of the story. If you think about it, if something happens to him, he doesn't want Murphy anywhere near this guy because he'll probably end up killing Murphy as well. And he cares about Murphy, so why would Harry put her in the middle of it? It's just
But that's what
making the phone call in that sense just doesn't compute with the way he feels about her. That's just crazy.
but that's what he says that's what it says in the book. That's the mental.
That's two
That's what he
parts that I
goes
don't
through.
remember from reading today. And I wrote these back to back right after reading the book. Each chapter,
But
I wrote each paragraph after the chapter. I cannot believe I missed that. I'm gonna reread that tonight.
But that's what he does. He's like, I mean, I'm sure he would never want to put Murphy in danger, but the thing is, he also knows she's a cop. She has worked her butt off to get to where she is. He may not want to put really anybody in danger, but it's also Murphy's job. And if there's anybody who can take out Victor in case Victor kills Harry, it would be Murphy, because he trusts her.
Well, I mean, he's got to go face Victor because it's the only way he can save himself. But he just calls Murphy to let her know what he's discovered before he goes and meets Victor in case something would happen. All he was trying to do with the phone call was to pass on the information to Murphy so that she'd have something in case he got killed.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
what he did.
still, it just, I guess it's because he feels like he had no choice. It's her job, so that's the only outlet he's got, I guess.
So he calls the police station, but the phone freaks out on him, and Murphy's partner Carmichael doesn't know that it's Harry. He thinks it's somebody
Yeah, he
else,
thinks it's someone else. Yeah.
and says that Murphy is at Dresden's office with a warrant to search the place. Because he's not there's no warrant for his arrest. I think it's just a warrant to search his office.
Yep, that's all it is. Read the blog.
So yeah, so he calls Murphy. He calls his office, and Murphy answers, and he's trying to, because he realizes the medallion might be dangerous. So he doesn't want Murphy looking in his office, but she's looking anyway, and that's
It's
when.
it's twofold. If he's worried about Murphy's safety with the medallion, he's also worried about something happening to the medallion, and he's got nothing to use against Victor.
Yeah, because that's
So
kind of
there's
like
two
his last.
pieces.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
that medallion gets damaged, he's screwed.
so she opens the drawer, and then you hear the gunshots, and that's how chapter 21 ends. He's like, oh crap.
Yep.
So he rushes to the building where his office is, and he just darts right up the stairs.
Yeah, it's actually unusual for him because when he gets back to the taxi cab, he gives the cabbie every amount in his pocket, and the cab driver's like, "I get all the crazies, all of them. I get every crazy there is."
Yep.
And then they hurry up over to the office, and the building's locked because it's a Sunday.
Yeah. So he like jams his key in there and unlocks it and bolts up the stairs.
Yep, he
Um
skips the elevator because he knows he has problems with the elevator, so he takes the stairs 5 stories, makes it in less than a minute.
Oof, no way. Nah, I could not do that for
He's
sure.
he's rushing. He's worried about Murphy.
And the door to his it says I think the door to his office is open. So
Well,
he hears He listens and he hears Murphy moaning on like if she was hurt or something. So he kind of like sneaks into his office just in case just in case of the scorpion, or whatever.
Well, when he hears her labored breathing and the grunting and realizes it's her, it's a sigh of relief because she's still alive. But he has to be quiet and he has to remain on alert, so he's got his staff ready in case the scorpion tries to attack.
Yeah.
And he knows he's got to find her fast because he knows she's alive, probably for now, probably barely alive. And with the scorpion attack and poisoning, he knows she probably doesn't have all that long.
Yeah, he does. He sees her behind his desk and he checks on her and she's been stung by the scorpion. And the thing is, usually that particular species of scorpion, the venom isn't that strong, but this scorpion's not normal. This thing is about the size of a terrier. So with her being such a small person, that venom is dangerous and he
Yeah,
knows he doesn't have much time. So he calls 911 and they want him to stay on the line, but he can't because he's got to defend them against the scorpion.
he still has to fight. He has to watch out. Yeah,
And of course, Murphy. Murphy's cursing him out because she thinks he set her up.
and it's weird because she's kind of in and out of it.
Yeah, she's got
She's
that huge dose of poison in her,
but
and
she's
she
she's
handcuffs him.
yeah, she's alert enough to handcuff him so that he can't get away.
And he handcuffs them to she handcuffs them together. And he's like, "Oh well, he just has to he has to deal with that. He's got to hold on to Murphy and defend them against the scorpion, who is the scorpion itself is growing.
Yep,
So he doesn't it's not so it's not like a regular scorpion, it's more of like a golem is what he figures out. That's not a natural scorpion, it's a golem, and that he figured Victor must have figured out where his medallion was and decided to let all hell break loose.
yep. He's got the scorpion now trying to attack Harry. That's its purpose. So he
Yeah.
realizes that not only is the scorpion growing, but it's also very intelligent and has a purpose, and that's coming from Victor.
Yeah.
He wants him to kill Harry, so that's what he's trying to do.
So he uses his blasting rod. He accidentally he because he gets injured and his leg like spasms and he kicks his blasting rod away. So really, all he has left to defend them is his little bracelet that produces the shield, and he kind of finagles his way to the elevator with Murphy.
Yeah,
And he decided that he would use the stairs normally, but he needs the elevator, the speediness of the elevator to get down to the first floor. But then there's all kinds of problems with that. You know, he's able to delay the scorpion a little bit because the scorpion gets a stinger stuck in his desk. So that gives him the time that he needs to take Murphy to the elevator, and he's trying to get the elevator to work. I think that's what it is. And
well, it's just slow.
yeah, and he's like, well, he still has the shields, so he's able to stop the scorpion because by then it's gotten free and it's coming after them down the hallway. So he's in the elevator and he's trying to get the thing to hurry up. So he uses his shields to stop the scorpion from getting inside, and then the elevator closes and they start to go down.
Yep,
Yeah. But the scorpion, being intelligent, gets into the elevator shaft and on top of the elevator car. And it starts ripping a hole into the ceiling of the car. So there's a new problem. And Harry has none of his usual his he doesn't have his blasting rod or really anything aside from his little shield bracelet.
Right.
So what does he do? He uses a spell and summons the air, the wind, to accelerate the elevator up.
Yep.
And they pretty much like skyrocket. And how big is that building? Like 13 floors?
I thought it was five.
Or is,
Well, no, his
no,
office is
his
on the
office on the
fifth.
fifth floor.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
office is on the fifth. I don't remember how many stories it was.
And they squish the scorpion. He squishes the scorpion with the elevator. But in true Harry fashion, he only thought far enough to the immediate solution to the immediate problem, but he didn't think about the after that. And the elevator car
He's
is
about
like,
to think about it now.
he's like, he did not think that far ahead.
Nope,
And
nope, nope, nope.
here comes the elevator car, and he's like, oh, he sure as hell just killed him and Murphy at this point. But then he's like, oh, he still has his shield bracelet. So he uses that to kind of protect him and Murphy from the elevator car crashing down to the first floor.
Yep.
And that completely destroys his bracelet. So now he doesn't have his blasting rod, he doesn't have his shield bracelet, and the scorpion, which he was going to use, is now smushed. And him and Murphy are covered in all of the ickiness.
Ectoplasmic goo.
And then the elevator doors open to the paramedics.
Well, they didn't
And
open. There's not much left to them. They're all blown apart.
yeah, and the paramedics are standing there like, what the fuck? And Harry has like five 5 seconds of complete happiness because it's like, I did it, ha ha,
I
killed
know
the
he was all
scorpion.
excited. Yep.
And then he remembers he's still handcuffed to Murphy, and now he has nothing to fight Victor with. And to top it all off, it's raining. So guess what? The
Well,
storm is there.
the rain hitting his face when they went outside is what breaks him out of his happy day spell. And he realizes that the storm has started. He doesn't have the scorpion talisman anymore to use against Victor. He's handcuffed under arrest, basically. Well, he's not under arrest yet, but he knows when Murphy. Actually, no. When she puts the handcuffs on him, she did tell him he was under arrest. So
Yeah.
he's handcuffed to Murphy, who's passed out. He's under arrest. The storm is here. Time is running out.
Yeah. So his little 5 second,
Happy day, glory.
happy day dance, is completely over. I think that was the happiest he had been that entire weekend.
Yep, so far.
That those few minutes, he had all that happiness, and it was just out like that because
That's right. Because in the time frame of the book, everything started on Thursday and it's just Sunday right now.
yeah,
So yeah.
he and this is mentioned, in one of the other chapters, but he has used more magic in one weekend than most wizards use in a week.
Yep.
So he is exhausted, but he still has to go and defeat Victor. And that's what and then we start off with chapter 23, and he's still handcuffed to Murphy, and there's a few minutes of him, kind of talking to the paramedics, and he uses the goo to get Murphy out of the handcuff
Yeah.
before the goo disappears, because he does mention that the goo is going to disappear on its own and go back to the other
Yeah,
plane.
it just dissipates. Yeah.
So he
But
uses
in him using that, he actually takes a chunk of skin off of
yeah,
Murphy's hand, so he kind of hurts her a little bit to make this happen.
yeah, yeah, and he's not too happy about that. But he's doing what he has to get to Victor.
Yeah.
So He heads over to the Wizard Pub, Mech
Mc,
McCanally's
McCanley's. Yep.
McCanally's, and it is packed because of the storm. Everybody can sense the tension in the air because they know something big is going down. And what is that big thing? Oh, it's a wizard war, basically. A wizard battle. Harry walks in and everyone gets quiet. He doesn't care. He's like, I need your keys. Mac, I need your keys. Because it's whatever. He's like, whatever. Everybody knows now. Everybody knows that it's him versus Victor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And and I really,
It,
of
it
course,
it's kind of
yeah.
funny because they all know that there's a feud going on between Victor and Harry, and they kind of freeze when Harry walks in and everything gets quiet, and they all turn and look at him because they know this storm's going on outside and that the feud is brewing and coming to a climax. Um, Most of it is from fear and awe from the people in the place, and it's because they're all either has-beens or wannabes, don't have the raw talent to completely understand what's going on between Harry and Victor. So they really don't have a clue, but they know it's something big and it ain't good. That's about the gist of it.
Yeah, because a lot of them, yeah, they have just enough magical talent to be aware of the magical world, but not enough to be like as powerful as Harry or even Victor, really.
Yeah, they're really
Um,
just
but Harry knows them.
magic clowns. Hell, he knows them all.
He knows them all by name or, whatever. So, it's safe to assume they all know who he is on some level. I mean, come on, the White Council pretty much has a freaking target on him most of the time. And who shows up at this moment to make things so much better?
I wonder who. I wonder who could
His
come sticking his nose where it don't belong because he
I saw
thinks he knows what the hell's going on.
I really
I'm
don't
gonna get
like
pissed off now because I don't like this dude.
I don't like Morgan.
Get me all
Morgan
persnickety
Morgan, Harry's magical parole officer, has to come busting in, and I hate him so
like a
much.
jackass.
I really don't like him at
Yeah, me
all.
either. I don't like
I
him.
mean, I get he's just doing his job, but I don't know.
Well, that's the one thing they have in common. Harry knows Morgan's just trying to protect people and do what's right. It's just the arrogance that he has, thinking that he knows every little bitty thing. So,
because
so
he just know. I think he just knows Harry by reputation. I don't think Morgan has ever even really tried to get to know Harry personally.
oh no,
He
I
just
think he knows enough about him that he thinks Harry's a killer. He doesn't
yeah.
believe that Harry is innocent. He doesn't believe it at all, and he takes his duties verbatim. He doesn't think for himself. He does exactly what the White Council tells him to do.
He's
So
very much
if he thinks Harry is guilty, Harry's guilty. There's no convincing him otherwise. And because he's convinced that Harry's the one doing all the killing, he thinks the storm outside is going to give Harry enough energy to commit more murders. So he's determined to stay with Harry and keep him from killing anyone.
Yeah, that's why he shows up. He shows up because he's like, you're going to sit with me here at this table in which all the tables, the 13 tables are full. So when he points to a table, everybody at that table gets up and moves off.
Yep.
It's like, Morgan's like, you and I are going to sit at this table and we are going to sit here for the entire storm because you're not killing anybody else. Harry does not have time for this. His life is on the line, and not because of the White Council. His life is on the line because Victor has his DNA and
Yep.
can use the storm to kill him. So Harry's time is limited there, and he doesn't have time to be dealing with Morgan and his self-righteous bullshit. And Morgan reminds me of a paladin, like from Dungeons and Dragons. He just makes me think of a paladin, you know?
I don't think of a paladin when I think of Morgan.
What do you think?
A jackass. I don't think paladin at all.
Well, he's basically, because you know how paladins are very righteous. They don't
Well,
want to deal with So that's what I kind of feel like.
but that's just it. Morgan's not like that. Morgan simply does what he's told to do. He doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily do what's right. He doesn't think for himself. He does
yeah.
what others thinks is correct. And he's just following orders. That's what he does. There's a big difference to me.
Well, paladins tend to follow whatever their god's creed is.
But it's from the heart. They do what they feel is right, not what other people think is right. They're following a certain set of rules, but it's to do what's right, not to just blindly listen and do what this governing body says to do. Because
Yeah, I
remember, the White
guess.
Council's corrupt. They're not nice people.
Yeah, a lot of them kind of have it out for Harry anyway.
Yeah, well, especially a couple of them. Well, I can't give that away yet.
A lot of them have it out for Harry anyway.
Well, yeah, and
Regardless.
Morgan is just a tool that they use, and they know he's going to do whatever he tells them to do. They tell him to do. He's going to follow it, and Harry just doesn't have time for all this crap right now.
No, he doesn't.
Nope,
So
he doesn't have time.
he faints, but not like, falls, like passes out. He walks towards the table, kind of making Morgan think that he's going to listen to him. But instead of sitting down at the table, Harry picks up a chair and just goes whack right at Morgan's face.
Hits him in the
Just
stomach.
hits him in the stomach.
He hits him in the stomach, knocks his wind out. Morgan falls to his knees. When he's on his knees, Harry spins around, whacks him in the back, and they point out chairs in real life don't break like they do in the movies. They don't give. They break the person that they're hitting,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
basically what Harry did. He knocks Morgan out when he basically kind of I think almost breaks Morgan's back.
Yeah.
Morgan hits the floor hard. He's out.
And everybody's just watching, and Mac comes up and tests Morgan's pulse, and he's like, "Still alive. There's a pulse or something." Mac doesn't really talk much.
Nope.
He basically just gives Harry an indication that Morgan's not dead, because Harry doesn't really like killing people. He just wanted to knock Morgan out, and all of his anger manifested in those few swings. So he may have gone a little bit overboard, but he
Just a
didn't kill
little.
Morgan.
Yep.
He didn't kill Morgan. He just completely knocked him unconscious. So,
In one, no, this is my daughter. We have a viewer in one, and he asked if this was my girlfriend. No,
no, no, that's my dad.
this is my daughter, and we are reviewing um, Stormfront, the Dresden Files novel by Jim Butcher.
Yeah. We're on
Not really
chapters.
reviewing it. We're basically going through each chapter of the book. We're doing chapters 21 through 24 tonight.
Yeah, we're almost done with the book. So,
And we're done with chapter 23.
yeah, because at this point, Harry takes Mac's keys and he leaves.
Yep.
He leaves the pub. So the last chapter we're going over tonight, um, chapter 24, Harry speeds his way to the lake house. And what kind of car was it that Mac has? Um, I don't remember what car it was, but I don't
I
know. It
remember
was
it. I remember it's white. I didn't put that in the blog notes. I know Harry was impressed with the car.
yeah, and he was going way over the speed limit. But he was lucky enough that on a
Huh.
Sunday night,
Pure white 1989 Trans Am.
okay, yeah. And
Yeah.
Harry Harry's lucky. Like, this is another little bit of luck that he has, where there's no, like, next to no traffic, so and there's no highway patrol, so he, like, is able to go way over the speed limit to the lake house. And what we didn't mention before was that the storm has hit the city, but it's not far enough. It didn't hit the lake house. So
Right.
Harry knew he still had a bit of time to get to the lake house before the storm got to it, because Victor can't perform the spell unless the storm is directly over the house.
Yep, he's got to have the storm's full power.
Yeah, so Harry, even though the storm hit the city, it hit the other side. So he still had several hours, to get to the house before the storm. And
Yeah.
he makes it, being able to speed down the highway without any traffic and no highway patrol. He makes it right before the storm.
Yep. Yep. It being a Sunday, the bad weather, and all that other crap kind of gave him some open roads, so he was able to get there very quickly. And he
And
goes to the house because he knows that's where Victor is, and that's where Victor's going to be putting the finishing touches on all of the magic that he's going to try and use to kill Harry. And it will have to be at the height of the storm, like you said. So
yeah, so but Harry doesn't go into the house right away. He stands like outside gathering his strength, because really at this point all he has left, he's used up a lot of magic over the weekend, and all he has left with him is his mother's pentacle. That's his talisman. And he almost, like, for a moment, he uses his third sight to view the house in all of its possibilities, because the third sight enables him to see like all these possible futures, like it being on fire and death in the house. But those aren't like definite futures, it's all just possibility.
yeah,
It's what could happen.
it's really interesting because he can see all of the seasons at once. He can see every part of the house that's before him, to the extent where he can see each part of the house that the wood that as the wood that's in the house as the trees they were, the glass
Yeah,
as the sand on the beaches that it was at one point in time. Had to be a mind rush. And he
yeah,
also sees a ghostly flame, which represents the different paths that can be taken in the next hour. That's basically what he's looking at in front of him. So he sees all these different futures, and it's kind of based on the things that he'll end up having to do. I
yeah.
guess which path he ends up actually taking, and
And
he also sees something else on top of the house that would freak me out.
what, like a
The giant skull.
yeah, this giant grinning skull.
He
Yeah.
sees one giant grinning skull and then skulls everywhere.
And it's kind of a
I'm like, oh hell no.
representation. It's like a representation of like the greed and the lust and the anger all, culminating over
Yeah.
this house. And Harry, this is takes a moment, and he realizes that he has the power to completely reduce this house to ashes and everyone in it if he wanted to, because he has way more years of formal training in magic than Victor does. Victor's powerful, but he's not trained. So Harry takes that moment and he is almost like he's tempted. You see the temptation, like, yeah, he could completely destroy Victor and the entire house and anybody else who might be in it and just reduce it to ashes.
Yep. The
Because
skulls that
he's
he
so
sees. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, because he's so angry. He's angry at everything. He's angry with the White Council. He's angry at Victor, that Victor caused all of this. Victor caused all this terrible stuff that happened over the entire weekend. And in 1 second, he could completely decimate it.
Yep. And that's kind of what he sees in the skulls. That's what they represent. Death being imminent, tangible, solid, unavoidable. But he knows that anything in the future is unavoidable and can be changed or modified before it actually happens by simply making the decisions necessary to move in a different direction or have a different outcome. He's got no magic object or symbols left to use other than his mother's pentacle. With all of his energy, he'll have to use this to focus on the white magic that his mother's pentacle represents, and that's what's going to help him with what lies ahead. He's got to see past his anger, his hate, and the deep lust that burns in him, because the true measure of any man's character is the way he employs his strength. He's not a murderer, unlike Victor. He's determined to use magic to discover men and help, but he doesn't want to destroy. But he feels very alone at this last minute because he's got no one left to help him. But he does catch a whiff,
Yeah, some perfume.
which I
And he,
took to be his mom. I don't know. They
yeah,
didn't say, but I
no, but
kind of felt like they were representing his mom and that for a brief second
because,
she was there with him.
yeah, because she basically gave him the strength he needed to resist the temptation to become even like Victor at all.
Right.
Because he was tempted in that one moment to just end it all in one moment.
But it's not
But
him,
but
so he's able to avoid that.
yeah, because he feels his mother's presence. But it's not mentioned that's his mother, but he feels a hand, a slim hand, touch his hand and make his hand touch his mother's pinnacle.
Oh, I
And
didn't read that part. I don't remember that.
yeah, he feels a
Hmm.
slim hand touch his and make his hand touch his pinnacle, and he catches the this haunt this perfume that's so familiar and haunting, and I pretty much assume that that's his mother. His mother is with him to show him that he has the faith and the strength to resist this temptation and not go fully on to the dark side.
The dark side.
And the chapter ends with him getting ready to go, like about to go into the house.
Yeah. Um. He basically. What did I put in the notes? Said he's after the whiff of perfume is gone. Harry will have to be. He thinks to himself, Harry will have to be enough to help Harry. So he walks through the spectral landscape, which is the skulls, into the teeth of the storm and the dark magic being gathered by Victor, armed with nothing but his own skill, wit, and experience. And his one thought, he says, "Do I have a great job or what?" Like,
I
really?
guess
Of all the things,
that he could think about before walking into freaking hell. I
yeah,
was like, do I have a great job or what? But he is a pretty sarcastic person.
yeah,
So,
he is.
like, of course he would think that before walking into the giant flaming house of doom.
He's such a doofus.
He is. But that's why everybody loves him. Well, everybody who reads about him anyway.
He's a fun character. He really is.
So that is where that is where chapter 24 ends on a cliffhanger.
Yep, walking
Like
into the final parts of the battle. There
yeah.
are only 3 chapters left in the book. And I guess we'll do our final installment at some point this week.
Yeah.
It's been a ton of fun. I mean, I've enjoyed the heck out of it so far. It frustrates me that I read it that morning. I write the doggone notes, and there's parts of it that I missed. I don't know how. It's hell getting old.
But that's what's so great about this is that we each read it from a different perspective and we each catch different little details.
Well, it
And
is weird because there's things that impress me that bypass you, and vice versa. The things that
mhm.
impress you, I'm like, well, I guess I didn't get that. It's weird.
But you see, that's what's so great about this because we're both reading the same book, but we're getting different interpretations from it. We're each, getting caught by different things.
Yeah, yeah. The different things stick out. God dog, I can't stop yawning. It's probably because I'm only on like 3.5 hours of sleep.
So yeah, we're getting into the big parts, the battle
The
and then
final
the
battle.
ending, and we'll see how everything turns out. You know, Will Harry defeat Victor? Will he? How will he deal with the White Council and all that mess?
I know.
Will Murphy forgive him for lying to him? To her?
Probably not. I just posted a link. I hope it actually works. I guess it's not going to work. I just posted a link to the blog notes. Ah, I had to. Yeah, okay. The second link will work. So anybody that watches the stream will be able to click on the chat part and um get to the blog notes themselves. Yep, takes you straight to it, which is cool. Yeah, I can't wait to finish up. I really can't wait to get to that next book. I am hoping that book doesn't disappoint me.
Well,
Did you get it
we'll
yet?
see. No, not yet, but this week. This
Yeah.
week. Probably either tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm gonna go and get it.
Well, we'll
I'm
more than likely probably gonna shoot for Wednesday, but
yeah,
won't promise. But I'll probably shoot for Wednesday. We'll get the blog notes set up, ready to go, and we'll do the last three chapters maybe Wednesday evening. We'll see how it goes.
yeah. We tend to try to do 4 chapters at a time, but we're at the end here, and there's only 3 chapters left.
Yeah.
The most exciting parts.
The final battle.
Yep.
And if I remember right, it gets pretty nasty.
Yeah, I kind of feel like most of Harry's battles tends to be pretty nasty. You know, I mean, he deals with a lot of nasty stuff, and at one point he did fight a toad demon naked. So,
Yeah, that's true. I remember that. Um, hey, we just got a like a few seconds ago on tonight's blog post. That's the first
hey,
like. Yeah, that's the first time somebody's actually liked it.
cool.
Huh? How about that? Ah, no wonder. Guess what she happens to do herself?
Huh.
She
BookCAST.
she writes summaries of books.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you a link. Oh, she's done Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. She's done the Wastelands by Stephen King, Prisoner of Azkaban, Green Hunt. A lot of Robert Jordan books.
See, that's cool because most of the reviews I see that come out are mostly on like young adult books. Especially on YouTube, a lot of BookTube is just it's full of young adult books and I don't see too many in the science fiction and fantasy category. So that's pretty cool.
Not bad.
So,
This has been a
um
lot of fun. I've been enjoying this.
do you want to announce the book that we're going to cover next time when we finish this one?
Oh, and the next episode maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think it'd be cool.
cool.
Yeah. I'm actually I'm hoping that one's going to be super exciting, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping our new interface isn't too busy. It looks pretty cool, but I hope everyone likes it.
So, that
So
was
that's
chapters
yep,
21 through 24 of Stormfront. And next time, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll be doing the last 3 chapters. So we hope everybody enjoys it.
yep.
This has been BookCast, where we love books and we love talking about books.
We just like to yap.
We really do. We just enjoy reading.
I'm even enjoying putting the blog notes together. Like I said, I may end up starting to do that for some of my other streaming stuff because it's a lot of fun.
So we, we hope everybody keeps watching as we grow and develop, and we might change the format every now and then. We're just trying to find what works for us, really.
Yep.
So
All right. Well, that's it.
yeah, we hope everybody has a good night and a good week.
That's correct. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.